All right, let's go. Today we're talking about how to handle a client not liking their results. Welcome. My name is Jeannie Andreessen. If you are new to me, I am an interior design business coach. I help interior designers reclaim their time, increase their earnings, and really enjoy their business again. So today we're talking about what happens if a client doesn't like their result. And I'm excited to walk through this with you. And I say that so lovingly because I know that if this is happening in your world, this is likely a major challenge. And so, as I walk through all of this with you today, I hope that this is helpful for you. I know it will be. I today put out a poll to you to find out which of two topics is more relevant. And they both had responses, but this is one that had a higher response. And so, what I hope that you take away is not only a solid how to, like, you know how sometimes you watch a how to video and you're like, I learned nothing from that? That will not be today. I hope you're going to have a solid how to, like what to do next if this takes place. But I also want you to take away that you are so not alone in this. The fact that I put out there which of these two is more relevant to you and that I had multiple people say this one tells me that this is happening not just to you, but it happens to everybody. It happens to everyone, and it does. It happens to every business owner. Now, my results, like clients who have my results, are different than clients who have results from you. But everybody has it in their business where they will experience a client who doesn't who isn't doing backflips in the way that most of your clients do. And so, before I even dig into the how to, I want to start with that because I want to reassure you one, you are not alone. This happens to everybody. And number two, this is really important as we walk through this work and go through this work today, is it's so important that you know how to manage your own mind. Because how does this happen? How are you notified of this? You will likely wake up to an email or check an email or check your text or you get some sort of notification and it's from your client and you are thinking they're going to be like thanking you because they're in love with their space, and instead you see an email that says, hey, we don't love it. We don't love it, or we hate it, or this is way, greener than I thought that it was going to be. So, whatever that might look like for you, I just want you to, like, the first step in all of this is managing your own mind. When that email comes through, your brain is going to be very quick to tell you that this is the end of the world and that you suck. And I want you to recognize when that is happening. Because if that happens without your knowledge, without your consent, without your awareness, you are going to fall into believing it. And this is going to be magnified times a million. So I want to just start with that because that there is a balance, there's an art to solutioning when a client doesn't like their result. And that art includes recognizing that this is important and needs to be solved and that this is not the end of the world. So before I even go through, like, here are the next steps to resolving this and here's how to handle it, I want to start with that. I want to start with that because it's so necessary to take a moment and pause and breathe and say, okay, everything's going to be okay. And this is not a direct reflection of like myself. This doesn't mean anything about me. I want you to really, really like hone in on that. Because if you don't give that the time that it deserves, and it deserves time, if you don't give that the time it deserves, if you skip over doing this, the rest of the experience, the rest of the how to handle is going to feel so frantic, so challenging, so overwhelming, so daunting, and really like it'll feel, I want to say like it's the end of the world. And I don't want that to be the case because it's not. So as I walk through how to handle this, I want to really start there that when this happens, it does not mean you suck. It does not mean that you aren't worthy of every single dollar that you have that comes your way. It doesn't mean that you are never going to get referred to anybody again. And it doesn't mean that this client is like mad at you or doesn't like you. None of that is there unless someone comes out and says that, like, I don't like you, this is awful, like you're a terrible designer. If that's the case, let's coach through that together. But so often when this is happening, it's merely I don't like one piece of this overall puzzle. So please keep that in mind too. We're very quick to think that everything is just gonna, they hate everything. And it's usually just one piece that they aren't in love with. And so it's good to also get that fact kind of in front of you, because otherwise, again, you are going to struggle with what to do with everything else. So before we dig into like the actual steps, number one, I want you to know you're not alone. Number two, I want you to manage your mind before you go into solutioning. Manage your mind and see this as just a fact. So that fact is, I don't like the fabric on my chairs. I don't like the tile that we installed. I don't like whatever. But find what it is that they specifically are calling out that they don't like. I also, when this happens, do not want you to go into making sure that this doesn't happen again. I find that my clients do that right away, where they start figuring out where in the process that this got like, I don't know, just like where in the process this got messed up. I think that there is a piece of that I want us to spend time on. But if you jump straight to that, you're focused on the wrong things. What needs to be focused on right now is how to solution this today. The last step in all of this is how to make sure this doesn't happen again. So I don't want you to over focus on solutioning this forever today. We just want to solution what's in front of us today. And the last tip I want to give you before I give you kind of my how-to is do not get involved in their drama and their emotion. The more worked up you get, the worse the rest of this is going to go. This is a very emotional experience. Working with a designer is an emotional experience. Redesigning your home is an emotional experience. And it's emotional for so many reasons. I mean, you not only are developing a personal relationship with somebody, but it's very, I just had a client that messaged me that said, did I inspire your life? Maybe kind of is that. So this is not like, I honestly am like, this is so funny because truly you're not alone. I don't know how much else I can say that, but you're not alone. Okay. Don't get involved in your client's drama or emotion. Please, please, please do not. This is like my biggest number one no, no, or yes, yes, the way, depending on how you look at this. But it is going to be so, your clients are going to be so emotional probably because you're also talking about big budgets and it's their home. So it feels very permanent too. Nothing is permanent. Nothing. Okay. There's a lot that we think is permanent. We even think tattoos are permanent. Today, you can get a tattoo removed. Yes, it's expensive and yes, it's painful. So is getting tile dug out, but it's still possible. And so I want you to kind of open your mind to say, like, okay, there are solutions here, there are possibilities here. Everything can be solutioned, everything will be okay. But don't get involved so much in their drama or emotion because they're going to make this a big deal. And the bigger deal that you make this as well, the worse the rest of this is going to go. The more you are going to be apologetic for things that you shouldn't be apologizing for, the more money you're going to give back to them that you shouldn't be giving. I want you to be as neutral as you possibly can about this. Okay? So take deep breaths. These are my like tips before I give you all the tips. Take deep breaths when this happens. If you're joining me live, I really mean this. Like if you have, I almost want us to like support one another in that this happens to everybody. So please, if you're joining me live and you're open to dropping in the comments, what took place for you? Like, is there one thing that your client didn't like? Did they not like the chairs? Did they not like the window treatments? Did they not like the tile? Did they not like the paint colors? Did they not like anything? Like, drop it in the comments so that everybody can like kind of come together and say, yeah, this happened to me too. And I hope you're a little bit out from this. I hope that this happened to you like 6 months to a year ago and that you're feeling pretty good about it now, because I want you to also know, I love doing this when something feels like a big deal right now, is I love thinking about how this probably won't matter in 6 months or in a year or maybe even in a month. So all of that to say, it feels like a really big deal right now. It's probably not. It is a big deal today, but it's also like not. So keeping that perspective in mind will allow you to be that much more neutral. Okay, kind of going back to like one of those tips that I gave. There is an art to making this important, urgent, and something that needs to be solved for, and not getting involved in their drama. It doesn't have to be both. And I think a lot of times we think it has to be both. We think that in order for us to convey importance to our client, that this matters and that it's important, that we have to be really dramatic about it. And that's not true. So I hope that that alone is helpful for you. Because if that's something that's currently happening, and you let me know if that's happened to you, where you're like, yeah, I feel like I get really involved in it and really dramatic because I want people to know it's important. Let me know if that's true for you, but I see that time and time again. And I just want to kind of pull us back, take a step back from what's happening, step back from it all and say, okay, this can be really important and urgent and need to be solved for. And that doesn't mean it has to be something we're really dramatic about either. Okay, let's walk through the steps of what to do when this happens. So, okay, let's talk about it. Step 1, reassure them. You can only reassure them if you are emotionally and mentally in a good place. If you are not emotionally and mentally in a good place, you likely are going to, like I said, fall into the drama of it all. And I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to fall into the drama. So let's say you get this email at 8 a.m. on Monday. You're going to be so tempted to reply to it at like 8:02 a.m. on Monday. And I'm going to ask that you don't. I am the same way. I would be so tempted to respond to it immediately. Give yourself the time that you need to process and relax. That might be 20 minutes. It might be an hour. I recommend giving yourself somewhere between like 1 to 2 hours to relax and get yourself in a good place about this. I don't think you should respond the next day if it's possible for you not to. If you're out of office, then don't respond until the next day, or whenever you're back in. But if you are in the office, I do think responding within, a business day is very, very important for just letting somebody know that you got the message and you're on top of it. But step number 1 is reassuring them. Thank you so much for letting me know. Oh my gosh, thank you for letting me know. So that's kind of step 1 in you get notified of this. You say, oh my gosh, thank you for letting me know. And then I want you to ask them for specifics, because there is a big difference between a client not liking something and a client who receives something that is different from what they ordered. Huge difference between those. Huge. If there is something that is different, now a client might think, let me know, drop a 1 in the chat if this happens. A client thinks it's different from what they ordered, but it's what they ordered. So that may take place where a client thinks it's different from what they ordered, but it's what they ordered. But what we need to know is what their current perspective is. It's different from what they think it's different from what they ordered. They don't like it, or it is different from what they ordered, or they know exactly that this is what they ordered, but they don't like it now that it has all come together. Get clarity on that. So, oh my gosh, Mrs. Client, thank you so much for letting me know. Can you be, we'll work on solutioning. That's kind of in the next steps, but can you be a little bit more specific? Ask for it. Ask for specificity if they didn't give it to you. So is it that you don't like the way it all looks together? Is it that you don't like the color? Is it that it's bluer than you thought it was going to be? Or is this not what you thought you ordered? Get the specifics from them. Next thing I want you to do, though, is go see it for yourself. Always, always, always go see it for yourself. Always. I think that this goes without saying, but the reason why it's so important that you go see it for yourself is because it shows the client that you care, and because you can get an actual read on it, on the situation too, meaning you're literally reading the room. Do you agree with them? Did this couch show up way bluer than what we thought it was going to look like? Is that color way off? Or did this couch show up exactly how it should have and the room looks amazing? Go in person, be there to show that they matter, that this is important, that you're going to prioritize this, and also get a read on the situation yourself. A lot of times, listen, there are times where something does show up and it's different than what you ordered. That's such an easy, I don't want to say it's such an easy fix, because that's probably a total pain in the ass. But that's an easy one, meaning it's not entirely on you. The solutions to that is, contacting the manufacturer, figuring out a replacement, communicating to the client how much more time that's going to take. We all know that alone is its own stress point. But at least that is solutioned in itself, where you don't feel like you need to defend your work or anything like that. But I do want you to go see it for yourself and reassure them that when you're there and it looks amazing and it's what they ordered and it's all the things, I want you to reassure them that it looks amazing. I don't want you to brainwash them. I don't want you to defend yourself. I don't want become defensive. I don't want any of that taking place. Because if they don't like it, there's nothing you can do about that. Keep that in mind, kind of. I'll come back to it. But if they don't like it, there's nothing that you can do about it. So that's not where you want to brainwash them into liking it. But I do think sometimes, and I'm like this too. I don't see what you see. And it's also such a stark difference from what was just there that having a really blue couch might be like just your eyes are kind of waking up. Like it's just kind of bright in there. So I'm saying all of that to you from this, like, you show up, if you think it looks amazing, reassure them that it looks amazing. And say, but if you don't like it, then we're going to work on, I'll work on solutions. But reassure them it looks amazing. Ask them for their patience. Hey, my team and I are on this. We'll work on solutions. Give us a couple days, but we're on it. Now, from there, I want you to fact find. I want you to fact find, is it different than what they ordered? Because if they're saying that, I want you to find that out. That does take digging. I want you to dig into notes. I want you to dig into emails. I want you to find a paper trail that they saw this fabric sample and that they loved it when you were in person, that they saw it against the wallpaper and realized that it's all going to come together beautifully, and that they, you then presented a purchase order and they signed off on it, and they signed off on the fact that it's custom and not returnable. That is, in the most ideal world, you will be able to go back to your processes and find all of those things. Now, if you don't have all of those things, then we take that and we say, okay, sounds like we have to change our processes in the future. So don't go there today, because today we can only focus on what's in front of us. But I do want you to keep in mind, okay, this idea of we need to update our processes. You need to update your processes to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen to you in the future. But the goal is you have that kind of paper trail. Having that paper trail is so important. I don't even know, I don't know what I can say or do to just get you to realize how necessary that is. And if let's just say this is not relevant, this live is not relevant to you today, but it could be relevant to you in the future, please, 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 right here, right now, take away that you need to have paper trails on everything. We need it in writing that they're signing off on this. We need in writing that they understand, and when I say in writing, I mean, you're sending an email that says, hey, here is your purchase order. We're purchasing this custom couch. It's in this fabric. It costs this much. This is not returnable. And you're putting all of that in there, and they're signing off on it. So necessary for your case. Your case, meaning making a case for yourself as to why you're not going to refund them 100% of the couch. Okay? So fact find. Is it different from what they ordered? Yes or no? If it's exactly what they ordered, what does that paper trail say? What is the proof that you have of that? And start building your case a little bit. After you're doing all of this, you're then going to come up with solutions. What can you offer them that feels good to you and feels good to them? I'm going to take a sip of water. This is a tough one, because this is when we start talking about financially, what does this look like for you and what does it look like for them? There are some things that your clients, if they signed off on everything and they just don't like something, it might just be that the solutions exist, but that they're expensive. And what is so helpful at this stage in this whole process is that you grab a pen and paper and you get clear on all of the possible solutions that feel good and fair to you. Now, this is the part also where if there's anything in here where mistakes were made, if there's anything in here where there was an oversight on your part, on your client, on your team's part, where you may want to offer some sort of discount. And I'm not against that. Discounts are so necessary sometimes. There are times where I do think it makes sense to discount things, and there are many, many times where I do not think it makes sense to discount your services, anything like that, your products. But in these moments, these are the kinds of things that help bridge this gap to build a relationship and continue the trust that you both have in one another. Now, this is also the part where it depends on the product. It depends on the investment. It depends on whether or not there were mistakes made on your team's part. If there was any, when I say mistakes, it could just be oversight. It could just be oversight. But when you get clear on your options, you are able to then present solutions to your client that feel good. I don't want you promising them like anything prior to doing all of this research and thought downloading. Because if you, and again, this goes back to managing your mind really well. If you're really dramatic about it, if you're super overwhelmed, you are going to be like a motor mouth promising that you are going to, I'm going to make this, or I'm going to make this, like, I'm going to make this right, or what, I don't know. Like, I just don't want you over promising anything. What matters most is that you stay super neutral and you find out, is this something that every single thing was done correctly and they just don't like it, and you think it looks amazing and they just don't like it? Or were there mistakes made on either your team's part, a manufacturer's part, whatever? All of that needs to happen before you come back to the table with solutions. But in the meantime, you've reassured your client, you have asked for some patience, all of that has taken place, right? We're all on the same page, all of that's taken place. Is this helpful? We've got people here watching, and I'm like, Noah, I need some chats in the comments. I just want to know, like, what are you taking away thus far? We're 30 minutes in, and I don't want to lose you. So please drop in the comments if this is helpful. Thank you for throwing me some likes. That's helpful. Hi, Heather. Thanks for being here. Please drop in the comments if there's like a one-liner, anything that you've taken away thus far that is standing out the most to you. Please tell me, because I'm like, oh my gosh. Whenever I hit the 30-minute mark is when I'm like, oh my God, am I losing people? I don't want to lose anybody. So, okay, we've managed our mind. Joe's so happy to hear your beautiful voice. You're so sweet. Okay, we've managed our mind. We're calm, we're neutral, we've done some fact finding, and we're getting to the place of figuring out if this is anybody's fault or what our options are. If this is you, your team, anybody's kind of, I hate the word fault. It just sounds so negative. So if there is some oversight there, that's kind of like what I think just sounds more human. It's just human oversight. It happens if there's some oversight there. We do want to look at what are our solutions that involve some sort of like discounting. Oh, I even like saying that word is tough for me too. If there was no oversight there and the client just doesn't like it, and you have a paper trail where they signed off on this and they just don't like it, those are different solutions. Right? Totally different solutions. Okay, now we've gotten clear. I don't mean to like skip steps here because I'm like, this step here is for you. You grab a pen, you grab a paper, and you start jotting down solutions. That's a step that I'm like, do not skip that. I'll offer you some examples for solutions. So number one could be, let's just say your client doesn't like their window treatments. That's a tough one. That's a very, very custom piece that you can't necessarily be buying back from them and do something else with, right? So they don't like their window treatments. What are the options here? So solutions are we give them some sort of like, we give them some sort something back, maybe whatever you made on those window treatments. They don't know that, hopefully. But you're able to offer them that back, that dollar amount back. And so that's just kind of this olive branch offering. You can source new window treatments that are this, same price or less expensive. There might be something you can do in the home where they don't like how it kind of talks to the how it works with the wallpaper. What I would offer to that one would be what is less expensive, redoing the wallpaper or redoing the window treatments. It's an option, just something to think through. But as you start jotting this stuff down, it just allows you to get into this creative mode. They don't like the, I'm like, what else? They don't like the fabric on their chair. They don't like the fabric on the couch. They don't like the color of the couch. What are our options here? Do we buy this piece back from them at a discounted rate? That would be an option. Do we offer to get it reupholstered? That's an option. Do we ask them to live with it for a little bit longer? That is one that I'm like, you guys, do not underestimate the power of asking for even more patience. I am not even kidding you. Like, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks for people to fall in love with something. And I would say that an option could be, do you think that you could live with this for a couple of weeks? And if you still don't like it, we can consider our options. That is also an option. An option could be how about they keep it, but you offer a little bit, let's say again, like what you made on it, you offer that back to them. They don't know that there was a markup on the item, hopefully, and you're able to really do that as a gesture that might feel really good to them. And then what happens is they end up saying, actually, let's do that because we're starting to like it. It's starting to grow on us. Gosh, I feel like that happens most of the time. But what I want you to do is get clear on the best options and offer it out to them. Now, how does this all look? This is one clean email. I literally did this with a client this week. Hey, Mrs. Client, thank you for your patience this week. I will give you some of this. Are you ready? Thank you for your patience this week. I want to make sure I gathered all notes, information, etc., so I could understand the situation further and present to you thoughtful options for next steps. After reviewing our notes, this is what we found. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. On this day we met, we showed you these samples. You said that you liked it. We jotted that down. On this day, we sent an invoice for this that also had our, like, what else did we have on here? Our no return policy, and you signed off on it. On this day, this was delivered. It was in this color, and we went and we cross-checked that this is in fact the same color. It is the color that we ordered. It is the color that was on that fabric sample. That is what is in front of you today. So the bullet points you're putting on there, the bullet points you're throwing on there are facts and facts only. Got it? Facts only. And you want this to be short and sweet. We're not getting defensive. Anything that feels like it's a little bit defensive, we want to throw out the window. We just want to protect ourselves and let them know we did our part in all of this. So do not overload them with 1,000 bullet points unless the situation warrants it. Then maybe you might have to. This is why I do single sessions, you guys, because I'm like, every situation is so different. So bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Got it? With that said, so you have the bullet points on, you have the facts there. With that said, I don't want you to be living with fill in the blank that don't bring you joy. We've come so far with your home. I want you to love it and feel that it's a true reflection of you. Despite not being able to return blank, again, the whole custom thing, here are a few options I'd like to extend in good faith. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. That is where you present the options that they have available to them. We can get you completely new custom window treatments. They don't have to be as expensive if we want to go this kind of route, or if you want them to be, of the same quality, here's what I recommend. But this is what the dollar amount would look like. We're happy to gift you 4 hours of our time. Like 4 hours is kind of a lot. So let's just say you don't even want to give them 4 hours of your time. Cool. But just like put in there, like, what are their options? By the time this is solutioned, you guys, the goal is that they're like, you know what? I actually do love this and I'm going to live with it because it started to grow on me and I'm starting to really like it. That is what happens a lot of times, is as people start getting used to something new and they have your reassurance that this is exactly what you designed and that it does look amazing, and they live with it for a little bit. They maybe have some people over who also say it looks amazing and they're pretty wowed. They realize that they actually do totally want to keep everything that's in place right now. But if they hate the wallpaper, they hate the wallpaper. And you want to present the option of, this is what it would cost to take the wallpaper down and to put up a new wallpaper, and how much time it would take for me to source that new wallpaper. And again, you don't have to give them all of your time for free. You can say, I will happily gift you 2 hours of my time. I think this would take about 4 to 6. So you're, again, presenting them some options, but giving them some sort of olive branch. And you're going to send that email and you're going to feel amazing about the options that you're offering. You're not going to feel awful about them. You're going to feel good about them because they're ones you've decided on and you feel really good about. And once all of that is solutioned, once all that's done, that is when you go and you ask yourself, could this have been avoided? Sometimes that answer is no. There is nothing that you can do to avoid a client just not liking something in the end. Sometimes that's going to be the case, but there are also going to be times in which that answer is yes. If you would have looked at, again, those oversights that just happened, if you would have just had a second pair of eyes on something, if you would have slowed down and double checked this thing that day, if you would have had some sort of checklist to make sure that everything was accounted for, it could be avoided. But I want you to ask yourself, could this have been avoided? And how could this have been avoided? And with that answer, I want you to make a change to your processes. If you skip this step, it's going to happen again. And my goal for you is that every single time that something like this happens, and it could have been avoided, but the reason why it wasn't is because our processes weren't in place the way that they should have been, is that every time that something happens, you make a change to your process that allows that situation to be avoided in the future. So take the time to change your processes. Take the time necessary to improve your processes so that anything possible that could be avoided is avoided. You live and you learn, and you are running an interior design business, which is not an easy feat. I want you to give yourself some grace in doing so. Not everything is going to be perfect. And I know that's hard for you to hear. Not everything is going to be perfect. And you're not going to be able to please everybody. There are just some people who are going to be more challenging than others, who you could do every single thing right and they're still not going to like something. It's going to happen. And so I want you to know that when that happens, that means nothing about you, whether or not you're good at this, whether or not this is something that's, going to affect your career. Like, come on. You are good at this. Everything's going to be okay. It's not a big deal, but I want you to treat it as though it is, but recognize that these are small potatoes. Everything is solvable. And to know that we are just going to get back up and get back out there stronger and wiser. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Know that everything is going to be okay. So necessary. Because if your brain thinks it's not going to be okay, your clients are going to feel that and smell that, and they are going to get even more worked up and even more frustrated. We have to treat everything as though it's incredibly important. Know it's important. Put it at the top of the urgency scale. Like, let them know we're working on it. But do not take it on emotionally. This stuff happens. In a few months, it's just going to be an afterthought. It's happened and we've moved on from it. And if you need this as a little pick-me-up, like, look at all the clients whose like lives you've changed and who have loved their design and who everything went right with. Like, go back and look at that. Okay, maybe ignore the like everything went right with. Like, when does everything go right? But like the clients in which loved everything and things went well on the grand scheme of things, like, really reflect on those people and know that just one client not liking something, it's going to be okay. Okay? You're going to be okay. What are we taking away? Drop it in the comments. I want to know what we're taking away. Let me know what was most helpful in all of this. Honestly, I feel like it was probably the scripts. I basically gave you an email template of exactly what to say. The only thing that is missing are your bullet points of what specifically happened with your situation and your solutions. But I gave you every other piece of that script. So please, like, go back. I'll definitely be posting this as a replay. So when you watch the replay, listen for that part, jot down those words. You guys, that alone, I feel like, is gold. Your scripts and removing emotion are always spot on. Totally. Remove emotion. It's okay to have some emotion. Don't be a robot, but like, don't get wrapped up in their drama. That one is do not get involved in their drama. Denise, I'm so glad. Denise has such good advice. Awesome. Just don't get involved in their drama. But like, we're human. We want to let people know, like, oh my gosh. And that's why be like slightly dramatic in the beginning. Like, oh my gosh, thank you for letting me know. Like, I'm so sorry that you don't like the way the couch turned out, or I'm so sorry you don't like the wallpaper. Let me get over there and I'll see it for myself. But tell me, is it different than what you thought it was going to be? Does it seem like it's different, or do you just not like it? Like, make sure that we circle back and we get the facts. Do we just not like it, or is it different than we thought it was going to be? And so we're getting that, but in the meantime, we're scheduling when we're going to stop by and see it ourselves. Then you stop by, you see it yourself, and you say, I actually think this looks amazing. Tell me what you don't like about it. Oh, I think it's way too blue. It's so blue. Okay. I think we wanted it to be blue, remember? Like, feel free to drop a few of those in there too. I think we wanted it to be blue, remember? Like, we were really into the idea of it being blue because the color was going to bring out this, and because these other parts are a little bit more neutral. Like, feel free to have that kind of conversation and be like, okay, let me, if they think that it's totally different, it's like, okay, cool. Let me check the facts. My team and I will work on it. I'll be able to present you solutions. In the meantime, I am going to ask that you live with this because we have no other option. I'm not going to take this couch out of here right now. So please live with it. Stick with it for a couple of days. You never know, it might grow on you. I don't want to force it to grow on you. Feel free to say any of this. Like, I don't want to force it to grow on you. But like 9 out of 10 times that happens with my clients. Like, you literally just had a white couch and now we have a blue couch, or you had no couch and now you have this big blue couch in the middle of your living room. And so you might just say, like, let's sit with it for a few days. I might even ask that you sit with it for a few weeks, but in the meantime, I'm gonna be working with my team to figure out what our options are solution wise. Is that, like, how does that sound to you? They're gonna say that sounds great. There is nothing in that that doesn't sound great. You are literally saying, this is important. Keep in mind, I still love the way this looks. I'm gonna like double check the facts and I'll circle back to you with solutions. In the meantime, I ask for your patience. All of that is fair. All of that sounds great. All right, now I'm just mumbling. So I'm just rambling. So I hope that was helpful. I'm so glad that it was. You guys, I'm here for you. I do single coaching sessions. If you're like, gosh, enrolling in coaching for an entire 3-month minimum is a lot for me right now, I do single sessions too. So I do clarity sessions. You can find that link in my bio. If there is something that is more specific and more personal to your business, you let me know. If you want me to basically like help you craft these solutions and these bullet points, that's what a clarity session is for. So head to the link in my bio to snag that. I'm going to hop off now, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you next week, if not sooner. Thank you for hanging, and take care. Have a great day. Bye.